And if they try to prosecute President Trump for mishandling classified information after Hillary Clinton set up a server in her basement, they literally will be riots in the street. I worry about our country.
They've turned into the American Gestapo. MAGA is a direct threat to the, wait for it, the American state. You said this quiet part out loud. We are a threat to the American state.
So Trump supporters are already speaking the language of violence. They're threatening the FBI, the DOJ, the state itself, and this is all as they defend their dear leader. Now, it's more than just threats, though. Their rhetoric has already led to actual violence, and there is likely more to come. And I don't need to remind you how the MAGA mob sacked the Capitol on January 6th in an effort to overturn the 2020 election. Now, some of these people are now candidates for office, looking to run our elections and, quite frankly, our government. And for those insurrectionists being prosecuted, Discount Don is, quote, financially supporting some of them and offering to pardon the lot if he's reelected in 2024. More than 40% of Americans think a civil war is likely in the next decade. That's a big number. Is this where history will say it began? Let's talk about that. Joining me now is Barbara F. Walter. She's a professor of international relations at UC San Diego, and she's also the author of a very fascinating book, How Civil Wars Start and How to Stop Them. And my friend, Jelani Cobb, MSNBC political contributor, historian, and the newly minted dean of Columbia's J School, journalism school there. Thank you both for being here. I do want to start with you, Barbara, because since the FBI search of Mar-a-Lago, the phrases civil war and lock and load have trended on right-wing social media. You have studied countries that slide into civil war, and I'm just curious to hear from you, how does the United States meet that criteria?
Well, one of the things that really concerns me is what you've been seeing just in the last week. When you have leaders like Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy starting to use the language of violence, this creates a really dangerous dynamic. Now, they're doing it, I believe, for very short-term strategic reasons. The Republicans are heading towards a tough midterm election, and they're using this rhetoric kind of in an innocent way in their eyes to mobilize voters. This is all about the November election, but in the long term, this is a very, very dangerous precedent. When leaders start to talk about violence, whether they mean it or not, their supporters begin to see this as a possibility. They see it as potentially legitimate, and it's normalizing violence. And it is what you often see in the early in the months leading up to a civil war. This is what Milosevic did in Serbia. It's sort of classic tactics to mobilize your base.
Yeah, which is a frightening scene, quite honestly. You know, Jelani, Blake Masters had a lot of interesting comments this week suggesting that Joe Biden was running a diversity administration. If we have that sound, I do want to play that sound from Blake Masters and then talk about the role that race plays in the Civil War. No, I'm sorry. I'm told we do not have that sound. But Blake Masters essentially said some ridiculous comments about Joe Biden caring about people's skin color more than qualifications. You're a historian and expert in this subject. What role has race played in the last Civil War that this country fought, and what role do you see it playing today?
Sure. I mean, I think that we don't have to simply look at those two touchstones. You know, obviously, the fundamental question at the heart of the American Civil War was whether or not people would have the protected right to buy, sell, traffic, rape, exploit, and abuse people of African descent. And so the country went to war, and 700-some thousand people died as a consequence of the inability to reconcile themselves to that question, to the answers to that question. And so that's fundamental. But more, I think, the more contemporary concern is that there has been this kind of tandem escalation in anti-government rhetoric and the belief that the government, or at least Democratic-led governments, are vested in the interests of people of color, particularly people of African descent. If we think all the way back to the Oklahoma City bombing, it was the bombing of a federal building, the Fred R. Murrah building, but it was a bombing of a federal building in execution of a plot organized, motivated by the fact that people thought the federal government under Bill Clinton was oriented toward the rights of black people, not white people, at the expense of white people even. And so there's a long kind of lineage on the right of that kind of rhetoric.